So today, as a part of our current affairs discussion, let us look at disaster management. Every year, you have at least 2 questions are asked from disaster management in your General Studies paper 3. Sometimes it can be 3 questions also. If you look at UPSC, the questions asked by UPSC in disaster management fall into 2 categories. One is related to concepts, and other one is related to the disasters that had taken place in that particular year. That is what we say current affairs. So what are the sources that you must be going through for disaster management? As always say, for any of these topics, the primary source for you should always be government sources. So what are the things? First important source is second year's report on crisis management, also called disaster management. A very important source. If you look at every year, even including this year also, one question will always be asked from this report only. Then Ministry of Home Affairs publishes its annual report. Disaster management comes under MO, Ministry of Home Affairs, MOH. There you must be going through the report on disaster management, because it will have all the contents related to current affairs in that particular year. This is another important source of information for you. Next important source of information is National Disaster Management Act, NDMA, 2005. Every year again questions will be asked. Of course, all the contents will be there in this second YASI report. So these are all the conceptual aspects related to disaster management. And as part of your preparation, you must be going through these reports thoroughly, in depth. Once you have done with these reports, then you must look for the current affairs related to disaster management. Normally, we divide these disasters into natural disasters and man-made disasters. Natural disasters and man-made disasters. Natural disasters means which are caused by nature, over which human beings have no control. Natural disasters like floods, cloudburst, then forest fire, earthquakes, then tsunamis, and the recent spread of viruses. These are all what we call natural disasters, over which we don't have any control. Whereas man-made disasters means it is the human beings who are responsible for these disasters, not the nature, like environmental degradation, pollution, industrial disasters, nuclear disasters, nuclear attacks, then wars, then violence, all kinds of violence like terrorism, Naxalism, regional violence, and then communalism or caste-based violence, These are all what we call man-made disasters. And here, as part of natural disasters, we can also include other things. Whenever we had this kind of cloud bursts, especially in hilly areas, we have the problems, especially in states like Himachal Pradesh or Uttarakhand. So we can include all those disasters. Now the question is, if you look at UPSC question paper, in the last 7 years or so, 2013 they changed the syllabus. All the questions are related to only these disasters. As I always say, what is required is a very specific preparation for this examination. At the end of the day, you are preparing for 3 questions, 3 to 4 questions you can say. In section B, you can have at least 2-3 questions or 2 questions, and then in section A, you can have 1 question. So 3 questions, 3 to 4 questions maximum. Around, you can say 20 plus 30, 50 marks. And you know that the questions will not go away from these aspects. You can include here landslides. As I said, whenever we had this cloud burst, it results in landslides, especially in hilly areas. So, whenever you are preparing, you must prepare notes for all these things. And your notes should not be more than, say, 300 words. That means 1.5 page, 2 pages. It cannot be more than that. Very specific with the facts that are necessary for all these things. So your entire disaster management notes need not be more than, say, 30-40 pages or maximum 50 pages. And you must revise them as many times as you can. Along with, as I said, the theoretical aspects, second year reports, and Ministry of Home Affairs annual reports. So this is what you have to do for disaster management. So then let us go a little bit deeper and look at these things. So we say that for a country like India, disaster management is extremely important. Why? Because more than 80% of the country is prone to one natural disaster or other, or it can be more than one disaster also. All kinds of natural disasters you can see in India, right from earthquakes to landslides to floods to sea erosion to tsunamis, you name it, forest fires. Everything is there. And as well as if you look at natural man-made disasters, again we have problems with nuclear reactors. We can have problems with nuclear reactors. Till now, fortunately, we did not have any problem. Then we have problems with industrial pollution. We have problems with violence, all kinds of violence, terrorism, communalism, regionalism, caste-based violence. We have problems with increased pollution in our cities. So India is prone to all these disasters. That is the reason why we say that disaster management occupies a very important place in our development process. Unfortunately, as we say, for almost first 50-60 years of our independence, we did not give that much importance to disaster management. Why? Because we had what we call fatalistic attitude towards disasters. That means we think that disasters are nothing but part of our fate. We think that it is the one way of God showing his anger towards human being. We never looked at disasters from a rationalist perspective. We never looked at disasters from a proactive orientation, because of which disaster management had been a failure in India. All this has changed in the early 2000s. The country witnessed 2 major disasters. The first one is Gujarat earthquake. Second one is the tsunami of 2004. Both of them had made the country realize the fact that we must have a proactive policy towards disaster management, because of which our parliament has passed NDMA. and subsequently India National Disaster Management Authority was set up at the central level, and SDMA, State Disaster Management Authority, was set up at the state level, and also we have a District Disaster Management Authority at the district level. All of them have been tasked with specific functions, and then the government also had decided that it must adopt what is called a proactive approach to disaster management. So from theoretical perspective, we say that disaster management has 4 important stages. We say that it is a cyclical process, and it has 4 important stages. First one is mitigation or preparedness. Mitigation, or you can say prevention. Second stage is preparedness. Third stage is response. Fourth stage is recovery and rehabilitation. This would lead to mitigation or prevention. That is the reason why we call it as a cyclical process. What we say is that both these, mitigation and preparedness, are called proactive aspects of disaster management, whereas response and recovery are known as reactive in nature. Proactive means you are preparing for disasters before the disasters take place. Reactive means you are taking steps after the disaster occurs. And we say that disaster management can be successful only when it is proactive in nature. And the success of disaster management would be less when it is reactive in nature. In India, we say that disaster management has not been successful because it is mostly reactive in nature. After 2005, the government wanted to change the entire perspective regarding disaster management. That is the reason why it has started giving more importance to proactive aspects of disaster management. In spite of the fact that it wanted to give more importance to the proactive aspects of disaster management, still we can say that in India disaster management is still reactive in nature. So coming back here, that is the reason why these authorities like NDMA, what they are expected to do is that they have to do the entire geographical mapping of the country, find out the areas which are prone to disasters, find out the reasons for those disasters, and come out with proactive measures to ensure that the natural disasters, the impact can be minimized, whereas in case of man-made disasters, we can eliminate the scope for man-made disasters. This is what we say. We must prevent the disaster from taking place. We must prepare ourselves for disasters. For example, cyclones. If you take before 2005, whenever we had a cyclones, 1999, Odisha cyclone, more than 10,000 people died. Whereas the recent cyclones, you can see that the number of people who were dead were very, very less, including take the recent cyclone in West Bengal. What is the reason why? Why? Because we have become more proactive in terms of our disaster management. One is, we started preparing well for the disasters, and we started reducing the impact of disasters. That is where we have succeeded. Now coming back here, what is the topic that we are going to discuss today as part of disaster management? Of course, the topic is obvious. We will be talking about this corona, COVID-19, as part of disaster management. COVID means coronavirus disease 19. World Health Organization called it as COVID. Why? Because when the disease initially was found in when the virus was found in China, it was called Wuhan virus or China virus. World Health Organization felt that countries should not be blamed. That is the reason why they called it as COVID-19, so that the country name would not be there as part of the virus or disease. So now, as part of disaster management today, we will look at what is the response of the government of India to this COVID, and was it effective or not? What are the lessons that we can learn from this disease from this virus. We must remember that still the virus is spreading very fast. So still we are learning only. And finally, what should be done? As I said from the beginning, this year the whole of our GS papers are going to be influenced by this COVID virus. So we will have to understand this from all dimensions. We have seen some other dimensions. Let us look at the other dimensions. Disaster management, you must remember, is part of public policy analysis. So coming back here, as all of us know, this virus had its origins in China, in the Wuhan city of China, South China. This virus had its origins in the wet market there. And as all of us know, again, in China, the food habits of the people are a little bit, you can say, uncivilized. And that is the reason why, if you'll see in the last 25-30 years, all the major viruses had their origins in those in China only. Because most of these viruses are spread from animals to human beings. Still we don't know how this virus had spread. Before that, you take all the other viruses, SARS, Ebola, and the other viruses in the recent past, including this corona, had transmitted from, even now also, in the last few days you must have seen this bubonic plague also. So all these viruses are transmitted from animals to human beings. So in what way this coronavirus is different from other viruses? In case of other viruses, they are transmitted from only animals to human beings, whereas corona can easily transmitted from human beings to human beings also. That is where it is more dangerous from other viruses. Still, people are trying to analyze, medical experts are trying to analyze the impact of corona on human beings, short term and long term. And it is said that it can have very negative long term impact also on human body. Still, scientists are trying to find out the real impact of corona. And of course, since it can easily transmit from one person to other person, the entire world was impacted. Of course, here if you look at it, the major fault lies with the Chinese government also. First of all, it has not made public in time about the impact of this coronavirus. It knew that it would transmit from one person to other person, but it deliberately was hiding this information, because that was the time when China was celebrating its new year. It did not want this information to go out. It did not want to create any kind of panic. China has dictatorship, as we know. So obviously, it could suppress the information. As we studied somewhere else also, World Health Organization also has failed, because it has mostly depended on the information provided by China. In spite of the fact that it had its own independent institution working there, it mostly depended on the information provided by China. And China initially had emphatically said that it would not transmit from one human being to other human being. And once the Chinese New Year was over, all the Chinese who had come back from Europe and other parts of the world had gone back to their countries of work, and the virus had spread immediately, especially in countries like Italy and then rest of the Europe. India also, for the first time, had come to know about this spread of this virus in the month of January. We had the cases in January, first case in January, towards the end of January. And then by the time the measures were taken by the countries around the world, the damage was already done. Because we are living in the age of globalization, wherein we have these transportation facilities made the entire world, entire globe a village. So anything good or bad, it will travel very fast all around the world. It had happened in India also. Indians today studying in Wuhan, China, they had come back to India, and India's first case was found in the state of Kerala, wherein the student had come from Kerala, and it was found that he had this corona. Now, from January till now. Now we are in the month of July, around 10th of July. What the government of India has done, what it could have done, what are the lessons that we can learn. This is what we are going to look at today as part of our analysis. So, rest of the world also had come to know the fact that the virus would be spreading through human beings towards the end of January. And most of the countries did not take any measures also. On the other hand, in countries like Italy, it had they went in the opposite direction. They called for much more closeness, physical closeness on the part of the people, asking the people to hug each other, which led to immediate spread of virus in all the European countries, because they misunderstood equality and freedom. They misunderstood the concept of equality and freedom. When this virus demanded social distance, in fact, the word social itself is a little bit off the mark. It requires physical distance. And when the virus demanded physical distance, countries in the world mistook this physical distance, and they felt that this physical distance would result in discriminating people on the basis of their country of origin. And most of the countries in the world did not take this seriously, because nobody knew about the impact of this virus. So, first and foremost, the mistake that was committed by people around the world is they simply did not know about the complexity of the disease. They did not know the complexity. They did not know about the seriousness of the problem, because nobody took it seriously, entire world. And unfortunately, in the entire process, the main culprit, China here, it did not reveal to the rest of the world the entire seriousness of the whole problem. It was deliberately hiding the information. Initially, again, it was China which has imposed this lockdown in the Wuhan city, complete lockdown in the Wuhan city. Later, countries around the world also have realized the fact that the disease can be much more dangerous than they thought. They also started going for this lockdown. Then what happened? If you take the case of India, India reacted a little bit late. Even though the spread of the virus was very slow in India, it reacted a little bit late. Had India opted for banning international flights in the month of, say, February itself, or at least in the beginning of March itself, it could have prevented a huge amount of damage that the virus is causing in the country now. So the first mistake that India committed was failure to react in time. You can give the benefit of doubt to the government, but this benefit of doubt could have been given till the 1st of March, but after that the government was late in reacting. That is what we say, disaster management. Whenever we say about these severe natural disasters like floods or earthquakes or everything, we say that the first 24 hours are very crucial. This is when you can save the people as well as the assets of the community. In the same manner, had India reacted a little bit more dynamic, a little bit more proactively, we could have imposed ban on international flights. It would have caused discomfort to few lakhs of people. it could have been made life a little bit more difficult for a few thousands of people. But that could have resulted in saving the lives of 130 crore people later. That could have saved us from imposing a brutal lockdown for a very long period of time. So the first mistake the government of India had committed was we have reacted late, in spite of the fact that countries around the world were opting for it. America had imposed ban on flights from Britain. And another thing is that another mistake that India committed was mostly it was thought that the virus would be spreading from only European countries. But later it was found that it had spread to the Asian countries also. Before that the damage was already done. For example, these flights from Indonesia which brought these people from different communities, and that was one of the major reasons for the spread of the virus also in India. What India could have done is it could have imposed ban on international flights in the month of March itself, first week of March. This is where India could have saved its economy, people, lives as well as livelihood. That is where we have committed the mistake. Next, what are the other steps the government had done? Another major decision the government of India taken towards the end of March, third week of March. First, our Prime Minister called for Janata curfew, and immediately he had imposed 3 weeks lockdown, complete lockdown, unknown to people in the history of human civilization. Please remember, this kind of complete lockdown was completely unknown to people since the beginning of civilization. I dare say since the beginning of civilization. Very severe, strict, brutal, complete lockdown. Of course, this lockdown was necessary for various reasons. You can say that the lockdown was part of what is called proactive measures of disaster management. Why? Because had this lockdown not been imposed, the virus would have spread and India simply did not have the medical infrastructure to tackle the spread of virus. And the government felt that this lockdown would help the government to improve their medical infrastructure. It would slow down the spread of the virus also, which was necessary at that point of time. But the major issue here is what the government had done is that government had imposed this lockdown with a very short notice. Prime Minister had come on television screens night at 8 p.m. and he said that lockdown would be imposed from 12 noon. So people were given only 4 hours. This is where again we say the mistakes in disaster management. What we must remember here is that India is not a rich country. What we must remember is that most of the people in India are poor, and most of them have migrated to other places in search of work. Internal migration in India is one of the highest in the world, especially after 1991 when we implemented economic reforms. The country has seen rapid urbanization, and this period also coincided with a decline in agriculture. Agriculture had become unsustainable, which forced most of the people from rural areas to migrate towards urban areas. So when the people have migrated, it is mostly poor people who have migrated. When they migrated to urban areas, they are forced to work under extremely deplorable conditions, completely inhuman conditions. The governments, as we discussed somewhere else, are not at all concerned about the plight of these migrants. So when the Prime Minister imposed this complete lockdown, this was done in such a dramatic fashion. It has caught all these people off guard. While explaining the reasons for imposing, While explaining the reasons for imposing this lockdown, Prime Minister has said that Mahabharat war was fought for 18 days. We should fight another war on Corona for 21 days. People took it in the right spirit. He said that we should not move out of the houses, only essential services can be there. Otherwise, complete lockdown would be imposed. So, here, as we study in public policies, most of the policies can be a failure because of unintended consequences. The same thing happened here also. When this complete lockdown was imposed, the governments felt that people would simply stay where they are. They thought that they would be simply taking care of themselves at the places. But this is not what it happened. Why? What was the problem there? The problem was that these migrants, they don't have any houses to live in, and they depended on daily wages. So it's what is called hand-to-mouth existence for them. Hand-to-mouth existence for them. When the work was stopped, then the landlords and the contractors, they asked these migrants to vacate these places. They said that they can no longer stay here. In the states where these migrants are working, they have completely ignored the plight of these migrants. They simply did not. Why? Because again we can see here problem with the disaster management. What happened here? Almost every state government was spending all its time, resources, manpower only on enforcing this strict lockdown. They were not at all focusing on the welfare aspects here. They were not at all focusing on ensuring that these people's basic needs are fulfilled. The entire bureaucracy was spending its time, resources and manpower, everything on only enforcing this strict lockdown. Because initially the government has created so much of a fear among the people regarding this corona. The first part of the response of the government was mostly creating a huge amount of fear in the people about the corona. So the state governments also had taken it among themselves to ensure that the virus would not spread. On the other hand, they had completely ignored the other aspects of governance. This is where we can learn one of the biggest lessons in disaster management. That is, disaster management, if it becomes unidimensional, can have disastrous consequences. As we study in disaster management, every natural disaster is always followed by man-made disaster. Why disaster management is always a failure in countries like India? We say that every natural disaster, these are the things which you have to quote, these are the statements which you have to quote in your answers also. We say that disaster management in India is a failure because every natural disaster in India is always inevitably followed by man-made disasters. Man-made disasters. So, when the entire focus of the government was only on controlling the spread of corona, why? Because India wanted to show to the rest of the world that in spite of the fact that India is a third world country, Whether we like it or not, we are part of the third world country only. In spite of the fact that India is a developing country with huge amount of population and with a huge amount of population density also, we are able to control the spread of corona compared to other developed countries in the world. This is what we wanted to show to the rest of the world. Because this was the time when you see the last week of March and first week of April and the whole of April, what you could see was this corona was spreading very fast in developed countries, Europe and America. So the government wanted to proudly show to the rest of the world that it was extremely successful in controlling corona. In the process, it had completely neglected other aspects of governance, administration, which, as we have mentioned here, a natural disaster inevitably followed by man-made disaster. As some of these international human rights organizations had pointed out, the country had seen worst kind of humanitarian crisis during this period. Worst kind of humanitarian crisis, and it is not related to corona. It had seen worst kind of humanitarian crisis. It was said that during the time of partition, millions of people had walked into each other's territory, from India to Pakistan and Pakistan to India. That was again a man-made disaster because the country was partitioned on communal lines. But now, after 70 years of independence, what happened here? Lakhs and lakhs of people had lost faith in the state, in the government. They had lost faith in the state and the government, especially these migrants. They felt that they had become orphans in the city where they were living. They thought that if they go back to their villages, at least they can stay with their families. And we have seen, as we have mentioned, the worst kind of humanitarian crisis. Lakhs and lakhs of people. Because the biggest mistake committed by the government here was did not give enough time to the people to reach their destinations before imposing the lockdown. The government got the hints also. It is not that the government was caught completely off guard, unaware about all these happenings. Janata curfew was imposed on Sunday. On Monday, if you had seen thousands and lakhs of people had gathered near railway stations in Mumbai to go to their hometowns. The trains were full. That would have given a hint to the government that they should have given more time to the people before imposing the lockdown. Countries like South Africa also, which imposed, they had given 1 week time for people to reach to their destinations. Here everything was done all of a sudden. So the lesson that we have to learn here, the second important lesson that we have to learn here is that whenever we are taking these kind of very strict measures, we should prepare people. That was not done. The second important lesson that we have to do. Earlier also, the government had failed. As we study, we should always learn from the mistake that we have committed in the past. Earlier also, the present government had done things in the similar manner. For example, this note ban, 500 rupees notes, 1000 rupees notes were removed all of a sudden overnight without ensuring adequate availability of new notes. If you remember, the government did not look at even the smallest of the technical aspects, like whether the new notes can be used in the ATMs also. They did not do anything. It was done all of a sudden, which led to so many people dying by standing in the queues outside ATMs. So this is where the government could have learnt its lessons. Similarly, when GST was imposed. GST was implemented. Again, it could not have been as successful as it should have been because the government has not created the necessary infrastructure for ensuring effective implementation of these policies. This is where the government could have learnt its lessons, that you must prepare people, you must ensure adequate infrastructure whenever you are implementing radical decisions. Here you go back to one of India's important political philosophers, Kautilya. What Kautilya has said is that good governance means avoiding extreme radical decisions. The simple definition of good governance is you must, as a king, as the ruler, you must avoid extreme radical decisions, because most of the time these extreme radical decisions would always result in causing a huge amount of problems for the people, for the subjects. This is where again the government had not learnt its lessons, and it is again the people who have paid a huge price for lack of foresight on the part of the government. It could have learnt these lessons in the case of this note ban and GST, that it must create proper infrastructure, it must ensure that people are ready to accept these things. The argument given by the government that if they had allowed people to travel, it could have resulted in the spread of the virus. But this argument, you can say, it was superfluous at the best of times. Why? Because when the lockdown was imposed, the cases were only in hundreds, and most of these cases were only from those people who had come from foreign countries. Had the government concerned about the people, it could have imposed a ban on foreign travel long time back, which it did not do. So the government's arguments were not at all convincing when they said that they wanted to ensure that the virus would not spread. The virus did not spread at that point of time. And the assumption made by the government was that people would stay where they are. They could not anticipate the consequences. As I said, that they could have got the glimpse of what's going to happen had they seen the railway stations in Mumbai. All the trains to Bihar were filled to, to their maximum capacity. People were going back. Had the government watched the news at that point of time, they would have realized. This is where they have committed another big mistake. That is, as we have said, good governance is always about avoiding radical decisions. In this case also, the government had opted for this complete lockdown without anticipating the consequences, without preparing the people to this radical decisions. This is where again disaster management, another lesson that we could have learned. In fact, as I said, that the government could have learned these lessons from the previous disasters, which it did not. Next, going back, what are the other mistakes committed by the government? Okay, let us assume that as part of disaster management, the government did not anticipate this travel by migrants. Then what the government could have done is that immediately migrants started walking on foot towards the end of March. Within 5 days, 6 days, 1 week, they started walking. There were no vehicles, there was no transportation. They started walking on foot. What the government could have done is that at the end of the first stage of lockdown, the government could have relaxed the lockdown for a period of, say, 1 week or so. And it could have allowed the people to reach their destinations. That is what is called course correction. When you know that you have committed a mistake, you must be able to learn. It's what is called trial and error policy. This is what the government could have done. They could have relaxed the lockdown. They could have arranged travel. They could have ensured that people would travel to, people would go back to their places. They could have ensured that people would go back to their hometowns. This is where the government again had committed the mistake. If it went for another strict lockdown, immediately after 3 weeks were over, and for another 3 weeks, and people suffered very badly. Why? Because, as I said, the focus of the government was more on controlling the spread of corona. It was not looking at anything else, anywhere else. Every day you could see the officials from Health Ministry coming on television screen and proudly talking about how they have controlled the spread of virus. Nowadays, you don't find any of those officials on the television screen, because everyone knows that the policy of the government was a failure. So, coming back here, this is where again they have committed the mistake. Next, another mistake that was committed by the state governments was here. The central government has said that state government must take care of all those people, all those migrants and everyone else who are on the roads. And all those people were put in rehabilitation centers. But as all of us know, every government in India, our bureaucracy in particular, they are a big failure when it comes to welfare administration. So all these centers were in highly deplorable conditions. They were forced to live in inhuman conditions. Extreme heat, April and May, extreme heat conditions, extreme heat and humid, extreme hot and humid conditions. They were not given proper food, proper medicines, and mosquitoes. That is the reason why these migrants, they could not tolerate those conditions, and they revolted and they started walking. When they started walking, instead of ensuring better conditions, what the state governments have done, they used brute force against the migrants. Whoever walking on the streets, they were severely beaten up, and they were thrown into these literally detention centers again. That is where again we see inhuman attitude on the part of the governments. This is what we say. We say that disaster management can be successful only when administration has empathy. Unfortunately, the last thing we can expect from our administration is empathy. And this is where again the central government was completely at fault. Central government did not help the state governments at all. Central government could have been more liberal in providing more money, finance to the state government to improve the conditions in detention centers. There should have been regular inspections, in fact rehabilitation centers, to see the condition of the people there. NGOs, this is where NGOs started playing a very important role also. But the role of NGOs, the extent, the scope and the ability of NGOs is extremely limited because of their lack of funds, lack of personnel and lack of materialistic support. It is only these NGOs which had come to the rescue of these people, poor souls. Both the central and state governments were criminally absent, we can say. Why? Because they were unidimensional in their approach. They were focusing more on controlling the spread of corona. Every day the health bulletins were issued wherein the government would proudly say that this is what the spread of corona in India, still in hundreds and thousands only, compared to the developed countries. We said that we have been doing really well. But at what cost is what the government never really thought about it. It was never concerned about the human cost. So then what happened? Later the government started slowly realizing, because so many people died on the roads due to heat, and so many people died because of hunger. The government realized that more than corona, it is the hunger that can kill the people. And what this complete brutal lockdown had done is that it had started destroying the economy also. Please remember, out of the 200 countries in the world, no the world had imposed such a severe, strict lockdown for such a long periods of time. Obviously, economy had collapsed. It was complete collapse of It was complete collapse of Indian economy. What you must realize here is that before the imposition of lockdown itself, Indian economy was in recession. For many successive quarters, for 6 or 7 successive quarters, the growth rate was coming down. And the economy was literally going into depression also. Please remember, in the last 70 years, Indian economy had never experienced a depression. It was only recession only. What this lockdown had done was it made sure that Indian economy collapsed forever, for a very long period of time. This is when the government had realized the fact that this kind of strict lockdown was, at the end of the day, not the solution to the problem. So let us go back and look at what are the reasons why the lockdown was imposed as part of disaster management. First, the government felt that it must stop the spread of corona because there was so much of fear about corona during the early days. Second, the government felt that it did not have the medical infrastructure. So this lockdown period would be used to improve the medical infrastructure in the country, so that the country would be prepared for a spread of corona during this unlockdown period, when the lockdown norms would be relaxed. So the first objective was achieved, because during the lockdown period definitely we could control the spread of corona, but the rest of the objectives were completely ignored. Why? Because you cannot improve medical infrastructure overnight. India had a worst kind of medical infrastructure in the world. Next, government never really knew about what's going to happen once the lockdown norms are relaxed. It was not at all prepared. It never knew about what's going to happen after lockdown norms are relaxed. The government never really prepared itself for this. It never really prepared for this million-dollar question: what after lockdown? For how long? So by the time the third lockdown was imposed, the government had realized that it can no longer continue with this strict lockdown. It started providing relaxations, norms. Especially one thing the government has done during this lockdown period was, since the villages were mostly unaffected by this corona, government did not create any problems for agriculture, especially the Rabi season. Government had learnt lessons from the note ban. So they made sure that the government would buy the food grains. Rural economy would still remain active. This is one of the brightest spots of what we call disaster management during this period. Agriculture was not affected much. So the government also ensured that in rural areas people are given more freedom also. So this is what they have done. Then continuing with this, finally the government had decided to relax, and the government had decided that they would run special trains to ferry these migrants. Special trains would be run from different stations. And what is the mistake committed by the government here? The biggest mistake committed by the government was that for these special trains, you have to book the tickets only from IRCTC, the website, and you need to have your either one of the identity cards, Aadhaar or any other identity card. You have to book the tickets online. And the problem is that how many of these migrants have smartphones? So this is where again we talk about policy failures. This is where we talk about the gap between the policies formulated at the top level and problems of the people at the lowest level. The basic problem here is that those who sit in secretariat organizations, those who sit in a PMO and other secretariat organizations had simply lost touch with the problems of people at the lowest level, because they never experienced these kind of problems for themselves in their entire life, and most importantly they never had any empathy also. That is the reason why they come out with these kind of idiotic policies, saying that you must book the tickets through IRCTC. How many of these people had smartphones? How many of them had bank accounts? How many of them could book the tickets through IRCTC? Obviously, in spite of the fact that they had the trains were there, in spite of the fact that government was running so many trains, still people were walking on the streets. And we had this unfortunate incident of people walking on the tracks and trains running over them. These kind of things would not happen in the most underdeveloped countries like Africa also. It can happen only in India. This is where again we can say another failure of disaster management in India. Why? Because as we say here, whenever the government comes out with a policy, it should always have its ears to the ground. Unfortunately, those who sit in, as I said, in national capital simply do not know anything that happens at the ground level. Once you reach positions of power, you lost touch with the people. Instead of this, what the governments could have done, what the central government should have done, or the state governments could have done, is they could have run free trains and buses for 1 week, 10 days. They could have asked all those people to travel wherever they want. You can use police or even army to control the crowd, ensure proper discipline, physical distance. You could have run all those things. When the government is willing to spend around 1.5 lakh crores of rupees on providing food to the people, why can't the government spend around say 1,000 crores of rupees on their travel? Central and state governments combined together. This is where another mistake that was committed as part of disaster management. These are the lessons that we have to learn. This is what the government should have done immediately after the imposition of first lockdown, that is 24th March. After 3 weeks of the lockdown, or at least the government could have given relaxation for 3-4 days, and they could have run, and they should have ensured that all those people reach their hometowns. Instead of doing that, government had said that all those people have to book themselves in the IRCTC, which is ridiculous. That is where we say that disaster management cannot be successful unless policy makers have empathy. So this is another mistake that the government had committed. Next mistake, the next lesson that we could have learned from this disaster management, from this corona crisis, is, as we have said, the government simply had no policy regarding the unlockdown. What the government would be doing after lockdown is relaxed. What happened? This is where again we look at other countries around the world. If you look at European countries, they have imposed lockdown when the cases were peak, running into lakhs of cases. They have imposed a strict lockdown, and during this period they have taken other measures also, like improving their medical infrastructure, like testing more number of people, like tracing their contacts, like ensuring isolation of those people who are affected. So the lockdown period was used in a productive and efficient manner. As we have said, everyone was caught off guard, but as a successful policy maker, Your ability can be seen how you react to these kind of unanticipated disasters. And European countries reacted very well. And that is the reason if you look at all the European countries, when their lockdown norms were relaxed, most of the European countries, the cases now are only in hundreds every day. It's only in tens also. They never go into thousands. When the cases are only in hundreds, you can easily control the spread of the disease. This is what they have done. Whereas in India, it is just the reverse. We imposed lockdown when the cases were in hundreds. Very strict lockdown. And the biggest mistake the government had committed here was that if you go on extending the lockdown, automatically the spread of the virus would stop. The only thing the government was supposed to do is just extend the lockdown. It did not do anything. As we discussed earlier, the governments, neither central nor state governments, really focused on improving infrastructure. They never really focused on these three things. Here we have to look at another important organization, ICMR, Indian Council of Medical Research. They are the most preeminent organization in India. For reasons best known to ICMR, it kept on saying that the virus in India is different from other countries. It kept on saying that we don't have to follow what the Western countries have done. That is testing, tracing and isolation. So ICMR kept on issuing guidelines to the state governments that they have to test only those patients who show symptoms. You don't have to worry about asymptomatic people. So the testing in India was very, very low. And it kept on issuing guidelines to the state governments that don't worry, test only those people. And of course, the problem is that, as we have said, when this virus had struck, we had only one laboratory in the country to test. Only one laboratory. So we simply did not have the infrastructure also. And what most of the state governments have done, the state governments never really bothered to improve their medical infrastructure. They have more laboratories. Every state government wanted to show to the rest of the world, to the rest of the country, that they were highly successful in containing the spread of the virus. How can you show that you are successful in containing the spread of the virus? Simply don't test. No testing. If you test and then you will find out whether the person has virus or not. If you don't test, simply say that you don't have any cases also. One of the important reasons why during this period of lockdown, the number of cases were less were because of the failure of the state governments to test. And of course, ICMR also as a premier institution also has failed. What the central government should have done is, central government should have been proactive here in setting up these laboratories in all the states. This lockdown period should have been used to improve the medical infrastructure, which the central government also criminally neglected. Why? Because the central government was also under this assumption that once this strict lockdown is imposed, people would not travel. And when they don't travel, the virus would automatically die down. Because initially it was thought that the virus would be there only for 14 days. After that it would die. So that is the reason the government kept on extending the lockdown, assuming that the virus would automatically die. So once the lockdown is continued for longer periods of time, it would automatically die. And this is where again the government had committed a mistake. This basically what we say is about escaping responsibilities. A leader should always be taking responsibility rather than escaping responsibilities. Instead of preparing the state governments in terms of improving their medical infrastructure, in terms of having more laboratories, more testing kits, and then what the central government could have done, another thing that the government could have done here is preventive measures. It is said that wearing the masks can help in preventing the spread of the disease. And what the central government or the state governments could have done is that they could have provided these masks free of cost They could have distributed the mask free of cost to every person in the country. This is again what you call a proactive measures of disaster management. What they could have done is that every person can be given at least 5 masks. And what they could have done is that after providing this mask free of cost, they could have made wearing these masks mandatory. Whenever you are going out. Then you could have imposed the fines or you could have done everything else. Again, this is where again we see the problem with disaster management. We see the problem with governance in India. The government imposes conditions without creating the necessary infrastructure. Government could have given these masks to every person in the country, 130 crore people. So each person 5 masks. How much? 650 crores. Each mask, you can say 5 rupees on an average. You could calculate how much it would be. Not much of not big amount, but that is where you find absence of foresightness, absence of proactive and dynamic administrators in our country. The government could have given all these masks free of cost. It would not cost governments much. The amount is very, very less compared to the loss the country had to suffer due to this lockdown. Had the government given all these masks to the people during the lockdown period, then after the lockdown was relaxed, we could have stopped the spread of the virus. This is another lesson that we could have learned from this disaster management. Next, what are the other mistakes that the government had committed? We see that whenever any of these disasters take place, what we see is complete centralization of authority and power. And this is what exactly happened in India also. During this entire lockdown period, neither parliament was functioning, nor judiciary was active. So it has resulted in literally what we call executive dictatorship, central government. And you would be surprised to know that the Ministry of Home Affairs, which is the nodal agency, this disaster management falls under MOH. The Ministry of Home Affairs had come with not 1 or 2, 4,000 rules and regulations during a 2-month period of lockdown. Not 1 or 2. That is where again we should have questioned the efficacy of our disaster management. Not 1 or 2, 4,000. Most of those rules and regulations are so archaic and so anarchic that nobody could understand them. Why? Because as we keep on saying, those who sit in this Ministry of Home Affairs simply have lost touch with the lives of ordinary people. They keep on making amendments, and amendments are made to amendments. They kept on coming out with these things without knowing the ground level realities. This is where again another lesson that we have to learn is that India is such a diverse country. We are such a diverse country. Can a single uniform policy be successful in the entire country? Obviously not. Can this one size fits all approach be successful? Never. But that is what we have done during this period of lockdown. The lockdown was strictly imposed in those states where the cases were very high, also in those states where there was practically no cases also, resulting in complete breakdown of economic activity. The state governments were not given any kind of freedom. For example, one of those guidelines of Ministry of Home Affairs has said that even in a district, even if the number of cases are 10 or 15, the entire district would fall into red zone. The district would be called a green zone only when there would not be any cases for a period of 14 days. Even one case also, it would fall into red zone. So in a district of 70 lakh people, that is 7 million, which is more than the population of most of the countries around the world. Even if it has around 10 cases, it would be falling into entire red zone. That is how the mistakes were committed. Why? Because those who are sitting in Delhi, please remember that bureaucracy always adopts an extremely cautious approach. They adopt such kind of cautious approach that it would result in criminal negligence also. That is what exactly happened here also. The entire economic activity had come to a standstill for no fault of the people. Because of these what we call centralized governance. State governments kept on pleading with the central government, give us freedom. But central government was hell-bent on saying that they will not give you any kind of freedom. So this is where another mistake that was committed. This is what we must learn. We say that disaster management can be successful only when it is decentralized in nature. Another important lesson that we could have learned, we should have learned, or we should be learning now also. Next, what are the other lessons that we can learn from this disaster, coronavirus disaster? As we have said, after some point of time, the government had realized the fact that there is a very range of people dying of hunger than due to corona. Government had no option but to go for unlockdown. As we have mentioned earlier, once this unlockdown period has started, the virus was waiting to spread. It led to the spread of the virus. It led to the spread of the virus. And during this critical phase of the lockdown period of around 70 days, 70-75 days, neither the central government nor state governments prepared themselves to face the spread of the virus. The best example is Delhi. Delhi state government led by Arvind Kejriwal had probably said that they were fully prepared. They were converting hotels and other institutions into makeshift hospitals to provide beds and everything else. The government has said that they would be importing so many ventilators. So when the lockdown norms were relaxed, when the virus started spreading, it was realized that whatever they have said, it was there only on paper but not in reality. None of the state governments were really prepared to face the spread of the virus once the lockdown norms were relaxed. They were complete failure. Here, another important thing that we have to remember is that for 70 years, as we have said, in India, we have completely criminally neglected the health sector. For 70 years, we have criminally neglected the health sector. During the planning period, that is between 1950s to 1990s, centralized planning period, the focus was more on physical infrastructure. And after liberalization, in the name of a neoliberal state, we gave this function of health to private sector. What is the consequence? The consequence is that most of these hospitals are there only in urban areas, whereas rural areas are completely bereft of any basic medical health facilities also. And it also led to what is called corporatization of health. We say that liberalization can be successful only when the government performs the function of regulation effectively. Government never really bothered about regulating the health sector, especially the private corporates. And this is where we could see all the weaknesses of public policies over the last 7 decades. Whether the government will learn the lesson or not, going by the past history of the country, we can definitely say that the government will not be learning any lesson at all. So what happened here? When the virus started spreading rapidly, especially in metropolitan cities, we could see all the problems related to the health sector. Simply the government hospitals were not equipped to handle this kind of a crisis. During the lockdown period also, none of the state governments nor the central government really bothered to improve the infrastructure in these government hospitals. Why? Because the mistake the government, both the central and state governments have committed was that during the lockdown period, the number of cases was still in thousands only. And they thought that the medical facilities in the country were more than sufficient to tackle these kind of patients, more than sufficient. That is where Delhi government also committed the biggest mistake, Arvind Kejriwal government. And that is where almost all the state governments have committed the mistake. Most of the state governments have promised that they would they would be building makeshift hospitals, but none of them have really bothered to do those things. Why? Because as we keep on saying, in everything in India is politicized. Governments will take action only when they believe that it will help them to get votes. And the government still believe that people will be voting only on the basis of the food, free food provided by the government. That is the reason why recent Prime Minister's announcement also says that poor people will be given, 80 crore people will be given free food. Why can't the central government come out with a policy saying that this corona treatment will be covered under Ayushman Bharat scheme? So that poor people and middle class people could be saved from exorbitant medical costs. This is where another mistake that the government has committed. On the one hand, the government never really bothered to improve medical infrastructure. On the other hand, government never really bothered to regulate the corporatization of health sector. And the government never really prepared itself to face any kind of these eventualities, disasters. So this is another mistake that the government has committed. And what is the consequence? The consequences, as we always say, are disastrous. What happened here? When the lockdown norms were relaxed, people started moving. Since the government did not give them any masks, they moved without masks only. It led to spread of the virus also. And our cities, if you look at them, our cities are highly densely populated. So there is it is very easy for the virus to spread also. The government has not taken any preventive measures to stop the spread of the virus. When the lockdown bans were relaxed, people had no option but to look after their livelihood also. Livelihood is as important as the life itself. So they started working, they started going out for moving in public places, which immediately resulted in the spread of the virus, especially in the metropolitan cities. This is where again we can see another criminal neglect on the part of the government. This is where we see these private hospitals ruthlessly exploiting people. Please remember, who are being ruthlessly exploited? Middle class people. No government is concerned about middle class people. Governments are concerned about ultra rich. Why? Because they are the ones who fund the political parties, Ambanis and Adanis. Governments are concerned with very poor people. Why? Because they are the ones who will be voting in elections. The governments are not at all concerned about middle class people, even though they are the opinion makers. What happened? When the virus started spreading itself to most of the cities in the country, due to failure of government controlled health systems, Middle class people had no option but to approach these private hospitals. And what did the private hospitals do? They ruthlessly exploited these people. For a 20 days stay in a hospital, they would charge 30-35 lakh rupees. This is still going on. Please remember, it is still going on in all major metro cities of the country. Even in Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities also this is happening. Why? Because government health facilities are almost completely absent. People had no option to go for private. To get this ICU beds, to get ventilators, to get normal room. The government has completely failed here. Where is the failure of the government? First, the failure of the government to improve infrastructure. As we have said, what is the difference between the developed countries and India in terms of disaster management here? In India, we have opted for the easy way out, that is imposing the lockdown and sitting back and enjoying the whole scenario. Whereas in those countries, when they imposed the lockdown, they also made sure that they are improving the infrastructure so that things can be brought back to normalcy. Whereas the governments in India simply sat back. They were sitting back and enjoying the whole fun. This is where again important lesson that we could have learned here. As we have said, one of the important failures of liberalization policy is the failure of regulation in India. The government has simply failed to control and regulate the private sector. Medical Council of India, a big failure. Ministry of Health, big failure. Health is a state subject, as we know. So neither the central government nor state governments really bothered to control and regulate the activities of these 5-star hospitals in metropolitan cities. And what they have done? They started ruthlessly exploiting the weakness of the people. Because the conditions in government hospitals are so bad that people don't want to go to government hospitals. They know that if they go there, they will die. And another problem here is that in government hospitals, even if the beds are available, there is no availability of beds because of the spread of the virus. They had no option but to go to private hospitals, and the government simply failed to control here. What the central government could have done or should have done as part of disaster management here is central government should have come out with the rates, fixed rates for the hospitals to treat corona patients. We should have come out with fixed rates. And the government should have taken over all the major private hospitals in terms of their administration and ensured that they would not be looting the people. This is what we mean, what do we mean by governance? This is where we have seen biggest failure of all state governments in India. Every state government in India was a complete failure. They could have done these things in a very simple manner. They could have taken over the management of all these private hospitals for a temporary period of time. They would have decided the number of beds that are there, and they would have decided the charges, and they could have collected the charges on behalf of the private sector, and they could have given the money to the private sector. This is what we say governance. This is how you protect the poor people. But none of the governments have shown any kind of commitment or empathy here. They had literally left the people to their fate. Central government had completely withdrawn itself. Central government had become criminally silent in all these issues. And unfortunately, central government thought that if they take care of Delhi, it means that entire country is taken care of. Central government woken up very late when the cases in Delhi were spreading very fast. When the Delhi state government deliberately stopped testing people in spite of the warnings from the high courts. That is when central government took over the administration of Delhi from Arvind Kejriwal government, and they made sure that infrastructure is improved and tests are more conducted. Why? Because Delhi is union territory and it is also the capital of the country. And what about the people of the rest of the country? People of the rest of the country are not as fortunate as people of Delhi. They had to suffer. You take the case of Bangalore, Mumbai, Hyderabad, Chennai, all these metropolitan cities, they were ruthlessly exploited by the private sector health facilities. Why? Because for the simple reason that those state governments never really bothered to impose governance, improve governance. This is another lesson that we could have learned, how to regulate the private sector during the times of disasters. Very, very invaluable lesson that they could have learned. Next important problem here is, or next important lesson here is, as we always know, either to stop the spread of corona, the only way World Health Organization kept on saying that you have to test, test and test, nothing else. This has been completely neglected. In spite of the fact that we have 130 crore population, we have conducted only 1 crore tests. Please remember, 1 crore test means not 1 crore people here. We have tested. The same person might have been tested 3-4 times also, because earlier they were tested when they were brought to the hospital. They were tested again when the treatment was over. They were tested again when they were sent out of the hospital. So every person was tested at least 3-4 times. So 1 crore test does not mean that 1 crore people were tested. Yesterday, addressing the press conference, the Ministry of Health officials, they said that number of cases in corona cases in India per million population are one of the lowest in the world, which is true. Why they are one of the lowest in the world? Why? Because the number of tests conducted by India per 1 crore population are one of the lowest in the world. For example, for 1 million population, India conducts around, I think maybe 5,000 tests till recently, around 5,000 tests per 1 million population, whereas America conducts around, I think, more than 80,000 tests, or more than that, in fact 1,20,000 tests, I think. With 5,000 tests per million population, we have so many cases. Extrapolate the same thing to 1,20,000. You would know the number of cases that we have in our country. The basic thing that we have to learn as part of disaster management is, this is what we always say, disaster management can be successful only when there is complete transparency in the functioning of the governments. Unfortunately, in India, if you see, whether with the central government or the state governments, they are always economical with their facts. They would never reveal the facts, true facts. Even in terms of deaths also, most of the time, the deaths were not reported. You can imagine, you can safely assume that the number of deaths are at least 3 to 4 times than what the governments are saying now. Why? Because every state government wants to show to the rest of the country that they are very effective in controlling the spread of corona in terms of reducing the number of deaths as well as number of cases also. So they don't deliberately test people, and even if people die of corona, they will not tell the rest of the world. That is the reason why you can see in places like Mumbai and Chennai, they had to revise the number of deaths also. Why? Because of the deliberate action. There is so much of secrecy in the whole exercise, unfortunately, in India. No one is coming out with the truth. Then disaster management will always be inevitably a failure only. That is where again another lesson that we can learn here. You must be transparent. Let us face the facts. And let us not hide behind the numbers. Yesterday when the Ministry of Home Affairs, the Health, when they had come out with this statistics saying that we had the least number of cases per million population, you don't know whether to laugh or cry. Why? Because these number of cases are only reported. It does not mean that we have only the same number of cases, first of all. And these reported cases are also on the basis of the number of tests that we have done. Two things here. And both the things, we are a complete failure. What the central government could have done here as part of disaster management again here is, the central government could have supplied this testing kits, rapid testing kits to all the state governments. That is where again central government was a big failure. What we can see here is that in the whole exercise here, central government was, you can say, criminally absent from the whole picture here. Central government felt that its job was over once it imposed the lockdown. Now states have to take care of everything else. Central should have come to the rescue of the states in terms of providing the testing kits, rapid antigen tests and everything else, so that they could have tested more number of people. By this time, ideally India should have tested at least 30-40 crore people by this time. You can see in China, in the Wuhan city, they tested around 1.5 crore people in around 1 week. That is what is called efficient governance. It does not really matter whether it is dictatorship or democracy. They have tested 1.5 crore people in 1 week time. And more than 100 days, we could not test even 1 crore people also. By this time, ideally, we should have tested at least in all the major cities, at least on all the 8 states where almost maximum number of cases are there. We should have tested all of them, so that we could have stopped the spread of corona. Now, what is happening is that when the testing is not done, all those symptomatic as well as asymptomatic patients would become super spreaders, and they are responsible for the rapid spread of the virus. This testing, as far as disaster management is concerned, this testing is what is called proactive, so that we can stop the spread of the virus. Neither the central government nor state governments were dynamic in this aspect. Even now, you can see most of the state governments criminally neglect the testing. Why? Because again, the ICMR guidelines are so ambiguous. Till very recently, ICMR has said that India does not require testing, for the reasons best known to the wisdom of those people who were heading this ICMR. They said that India's condition is different from European countries, so we don't have to test, as if the coronavirus is more kind to people of India compared to other countries. And we are paying the price also. And we are having almost 25,000 cases per day. Why? Because we are not testing. At least we must be testing at least 50 lakhs to 1 crore people. For that, the government must provide the testing kits to the state governments. The government could have used the money. For example, PM CARES, we have raised huge amount of money through PM CARES. That money could have been used to improve medical infrastructure, which the government has not done. This is again another mistake committed by the central and state governments. These are all the lessons, as we have said, that we should learn from this disaster, corona. Why? Because, as we mentioned in the beginning itself, this kind of disaster the humanity, the civilization has never seen. You are prone to committing mistakes, but the progress, development, growth can be seen only when you are willing to learn from the mistakes. Unfortunately, as we can see here, neither the central government nor state governments have learnt the lessons. Even now also, if you see, in all major cities, there was this ruthless exploitation by the private corporate hospitals, with state governments playing the role of a mute spectator. This is where again, we can see the failure of the governments in terms of disaster management. Next, what are the other aspects of disaster management where we think the governments could have learned? Next thing here is the availability of doctors. As some of the states have complained, they have the medical infrastructure in the form of ICU beds, everything else, ventilators, everything, but there is no availability of doctors. Why? The availability of doctors is very low in India. Why? Because one of the consequences of 1991 liberalization was there is a huge amount of shift in the educational preferences of people. People were moving towards management, banking and engineering than medical sector. This is one of the trends that could be seen after liberalization. the number of health professionals in India had come down drastically. And what else happened? Most of these health professionals migrated to developed countries. Developed countries. Why? Because one, in government hospitals, the salaries are very less, conditions are very bad. Whereas in foreign countries, they get huge amount of money and they get name and also fame also. They respect the professionals. And those who stayed back in India, they commercialized the health sector by starting these corporate hospitals. Corporate hospitals had become a major phenomenon in the country after liberalization, especially in the last 15-20 years or so. And what is the consequence? Doctor people ratio in India, population ratio in India is one of the lowest in the world. One of the lowest in the world, and it is highly skewed in favor of urban areas. So when these kind of disasters strike, then we realize the fact that we simply don't have any skilled personnel, doctors. This is another major issue that we have seen. Most of the hospitals, simply these doctors are forced to work for a very long number of hours. And another worst kind of thing that happened is that most of them were not paid even their salaries also in government hospitals or even private hospitals also. High courts had to intervene. High courts and the Supreme Court had to intervene and forced the governments to pay the salaries also. This is how criminally we have neglected the health sector. Criminal neglect of health sector. Already we have very less number of health professionals and we don't even take care of them. Just lighting the lamps or making sounds does not mean that we are showing respect to health professionals. At the end of the day, it is all about their survival. The governments have to take these things very seriously. This is where again we have seen criminal neglect on the part of central and state governments. Simply, most of the states as well as central governments found themselves completely inadequate in terms of the health personnel. Not only doctors, we are talking about nurses and other medical staff also. This is another problem that is we have seen as part of disaster management in India at this point of time. Another problem. Next problem, what we can see with this corona related disaster management is lack of awareness among the people. There are so many views, opinions, fears, apprehensions, hallucinations. Nobody knows exact truth. And the government, as I said, has not come out with the truth also. Initially, government created so much of fear among the people about corona that everyone started literally shivering looking at corona. It resulted in discrimination also, social discrimination. Those who got corona had become the new untouchables in the country. Why? Because of the fear created by the government regarding corona. Why? Because people simply don't have any information. And that is where again the government was a failure, providing the right kind of information at the right time to the people. That was also another lesson that we can learn from disaster management. Next lesson that we can learn is any kind of unidimensional policy is always going to be a failure. With so much of emphasis on stopping the spread of corona, the government has completely neglected other aspects of governance, economy. Economy was completely destroyed. And then welfare of people. They were completely neglected during this period of corona. So what the lesson that the government should have learned or must be learning is that excessive focus only on one aspect can result in complete destruction of the rest of the system. This is another lesson that the government should be learning. And this complete, brutal, inhuman lockdown was not necessary at all at the end of the day. It was not necessary because when the complete lockdown was announced, it was not necessary. When the lockdown was relaxed, we had come to know about the weaknesses. What the government should have done is that it should have prepared itself, which the government has not done at all. It should have looked at other aspects, economic aspects, welfare aspects of people, which the government has completely failed also. So this is what the lessons that we can learn as part of disaster management from this corona crisis. So in the long term, what should we do? Let us try to see what the governments can do around the world to prevent these kind of diseases. First and foremost, we must have some kind of control over countries like China, which are the most important source of the spread of these viruses. As we have said, we keep on saying repeatedly, in the last 20 years or so, all the major viruses had their origins in China only. Ebola virus, SARS virus, and every other virus, swine flu, you name it, bubonic plague right now, and of course corona. We must control. Globalization can be successful only when countries around the world behave in a responsible manner. We need global institutions which are much more effective. What Second World War has proved beyond a doubt was the complete failure of the League of Nations in ensuring global peace and prosperity. That is the reason why, in place of the League of Nations, we had come out with a better institution called United Nations. It was fairly successful because after that we have not seen any big world wars between the countries. So let us take this corona crisis also seriously and think about how to improve, how to make these global multilateral institutions more effective. World Health Organization, for all the good things that it has done in the last 70 years, has been a complete failure here in terms of spreading, in terms of controlling these kind of countries, rogue nations like China. We need a much better, much more effective global multilateral institution. This is what we have to think in terms of long term. Coming back to India, what India must do is that India, it has to find resources. It cannot say that we are perennially developing country, that is the reason we don't have resources. It has to find resources so that its expenditure on health is increased from the present around 1% to 6% of GDP in the next 5 years. Every year increase it by 1%. You cannot keep on giving excuses. When you can spend around 9% to 10% of your GDP on defense, certainly you must spend 6% of GDP on health. Very, very important. Otherwise it becomes difficult. Third, India should look at it should know how to protect its medical professionals. We need more medical institutions. We need more graduates. We need more personnel. What corona crisis had proved beyond a doubt is we need this health personnel, doctors, nurses and everyone else. Very, very important. This National Health Policy 2017 talked about these things, but it was never implemented. Instead of talking about noble intentions in the name of public policies, the government should come out with a specific, tangible, verifiable targets for health sector. Then only you can improve. Then only we can translate our outlays into outcomes. Very important. Next lesson that we can learn from this crisis is there must be complete regulation of a private sector. Whenever this kind of crisis takes place, private sector ruthlessly exploits the people. The government becomes a mute spectator. We need complete regulation of private sector. Next thing that we have to learn is that since health is part of state list, there must be controls. For example, recently the central government had imposed some kind of restrictions on the states' borrowing powers. Central government has said that they are increasing the FRBM limits of the state governments from 3 to 5%, 3.5 to 5%, 3 to 5%. So similarly, the central government should come out with restrictions. Why? Because state governments are not willing to spend money on health. Unfortunately, in India, health is still considered a luxury. That is the reason why every state government, if you look at almost all the state governments in India, maximum amount of subsidies are given on food and second on farmers. Health is never a top priority. That is the reason why at the state level also, the state budget must have at least, like in the central level, at least 6% of the state budget must be devoted only to the health sector. And there should not be any diversion of resources. There should not be any diversion of resources. This is very, very important. These are all the lessons which we have to learn. Whether we learn or not, it's a different thing. Next thing is that whenever this kind of crisis management takes place, one of the major criticisms against the central government is that in the central government crisis management team, it consists of only bureaucrats, but not professionals or NGOs. Central government must focus more on broad-based governance. It should have taken health experts. It should have taken media. It should have taken NGOs as part of its crisis management team. As we have said, the Ministry of Health had come out with more than 4,000 rules and regulations, which is ridiculous, which shows that our bureaucracy is living completely in their own world. Let us make governance much more broader, much more participative in nature. This is what we study in disaster management. This is what exactly Second Administrative Reforms Commission in its report on crisis management also spoke about. It has said that any disaster management can be successful only when it is participatory in nature, only when it involves all stakeholders. Unfortunately, the lesson that we should, the mistake that we have committed here is that we have given completely, exclusively the responsibility of crisis management only to the officials in the Ministry of Health, Ministry of Home Affairs. And that is where the problem is. Even ICMR also. Unfortunately, ICMR also had become completely politicized when ICMR had said that the vaccine should be coming out by 15th of August. By making such irresponsible statements, you are lowering your own credibility in the eyes of the people. Let us not politicize these institutions. If they have to retain their credibility, let us have people from the private sector, professionals as part of crisis management. So these are all some of the lessons that we have to learn. As we keep on saying, it's going to be $1 million question whether the governments will learn these lessons or not. But what this corona had taught us is definitely that we cannot continue with the normal. What we require is the new normal. And most importantly, as we relate it to ethics, we should look at our own livelihood also. Is it necessary for us to be so cruel towards other human beings for our own survival? By making sure that other human beings should not have any place on this earth. Is it necessary? We have to ask the question. As we keep on saying, if you harm the nature, If you try to disturb the ecological balance, nature has its own way of reacting. And when the nature starts reacting, human beings have no place to hide on this earth. We think that we are the most powerful. What corona had shown to us ultimately is that a virus which is not alive, which is dead, which cannot be seen, can control our lives the way nobody can ever imagine. This is the lesson that we have to learn. As human beings, we must be more responsible and ethical in terms of our livelihood. Especially in these wet markets in China, wherein the livelihood is so shameful that animals, it looks like animals have better values than human beings. That is what the lesson that we can learn. Otherwise, human beings are condemned to repeat their mistakes if they don't learn from lessons, right kind of lessons from these kind of disasters. I think that should be more than sufficient for our discussion on disaster management. As I said, that we can expect lots of questions this year in all 4 papers of GS as well as essay paper. Whatever we have discussed is very, very important for you. Thank you very much.